with background music.
With background, no, we only get the background music on Twitter. But actually, we don't even have background music on Twitter. Let me see. Off on.
I'll sing you some. Twitter
might have rugged us. Just so you know, it won't let me unmute on there. So if it doesn't say that we're live on Twitter, then it would appear that Twitter has rugged us. But we're live and people are watching here. If you're
hey, everybody,
we got a few people that are watching. If you comment, we'll know who you are, and we could have a little chat while we get our Twitter space fired up as well.
So. Officially rugged. We haven't even started and we're rugged already. I love it.
That's par for the course, man.
Canceled already. Wah, wah, wah.
I didn't even get to say no financial advice a fucking course yet.
There it is.
There, bleep that shit. All right. Hell of a day. It's beautiful here. Like beautiful.
Finally, man.
How's it down in LA?
It's good. It's finally nice and sunny outside right now. It was rainy the other day. It was dumping snow up in the mountains, which was great because we've been hanging out and spending more time up in Big Bear. But yeah, man, right here, can't complain. Thursday I was out there in Venice Beach and it was just beautiful. Walking around like sun, great weather. Like no one shovels their driveways here. Put it that way.
Man, there's no snow here either. We have no snow.
Wow.
Mountains.
Yeah, even
with no snow.
Yeah, even in Ontario, no snow. There's something going on here, and everyone's happy about it. I think, unless you're a snowboarder or a skier,
right? Yeah,
people are pretty choked.
Look at that! I tell you.
Hey, my guy Caesar, he's calling me out. It's always flannel weather for Mr. Chris.
When you're around Chris, I believe
I think it's just the nonstop air conditioning.
Yeah,
the nonstop air conditioning you guys have. It's just like air conditioned place from air conditioned place.
Well, to that point, in summertime when we're at Venice Beach, it's the space is cooled with mini splits, which are not fantastic at like pumping in a bunch of cold air, but they work enough. But body heat will destroy any progress that you've made on cooling that space. When we got 50 plus people packed in next to each other, it is not fun to rock the flannel in the summertime in Venice Beach.
It's amazing how much body heat actually adds heat to a room. Desi, let's fucking go. Bored on a Saturday night. Don't know if that's a pun regarding the Bored Apes or if you're actually just bored. So hopefully I can fix you with one of those items. Today, the kind of deal is to kind of just walk through a little bit of how I use our indicators, how I look at the markets, answer any questions that have been coming in. We've had a few that we'll address as well. And if you guys that are watching have any questions, just hit us up. And I am just going to kind of get set up here so Chris can get all my stuff on the screen.
Yep. And so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to spin up a fresh space for Twitter because sometimes what happens is they have an issue. You go to, you schedule a live stream, you start it, and then just nothing happens. And my guess is if I try to get back to it right now, it's going to tell me there was an error, it happened, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to spin up a new one right now. I'm also getting the video loaded that you were talking about that Primo got edited for last night. I'm going to put that in a new video format so that it can play here. And then we'll be going with that. So we're just going to do 12 things at once.
Well, that's par for the course for trading, right? I can give it a little teaser of what we're going to do outside of just looking at our indicators and looking at the money flow. What I always kind of call the unsexy part of trading is the data, the paper, the notes. And it's the boring part of the job. It's tedious for some if you don't like filling out sheets or doing any kind of paperwork. But I always look at the trade-off. The trade-off is when you do these things, you become a better trader. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to make massive amounts more percentage per trade, but it's probably going to improve you fractionally. And we already know all these little pieces of percentages that we stack on up become massive. They become really big. percentages. And by having a trader's journal or an entry tracking sheet, it helps gain those percentages. If you're looking at your trading journal and you're finding all the same mistake, maybe you need to look or address that situation. You know, entry tracking, we talk a lot about, you know, market entry. And if you have money, it doesn't mean it's the time to jump into trade. And a lot of people make that mistake. They're just happy they have capital to throw in. And then they log in the next day and then wonder why they're down 8% because they didn't notice, you know, we were going into a micro bear or liquidity was leaving the market. And so when we look at these things, it makes us better prepared to take our investments in. And now, of course, this is always going to change for your specific trading style or investment style. If you're dollar cost averaging, if you're doing these kind of things, you know, you're going to be okay long term. I mean, the majority of all traders that dollar cost average seem to always do the best statistically. Now, that being said, I do a little bit of that with capital I make on faster trades. I like to get in, I like to get out, I like to stack my capital. And by doing that, you can do a few trades a day, sometimes multiple trades a day, maybe a trade or two over a few days. Like I said, it really depends on your style, what time you have for, and all these things. Can't wait to get started. I'm so with you in America. It's going to be a lot of fun. And when you see how beautifully simple this is, if you've gone through the modules and you've already started to see that, it really is the patience part, when to get in, when to get out. And now that can be for longing or shorting. I'm purely a spot trader and I'm purely long. And I've done very well with that. That's why I stick to it. I don't like leverage because it's virtually gambling, and everybody I know has done well for a little bit and then not so much after that. So I try to mitigate all the risks of possible to my capital. And sometimes that means taking a less percentage. Sometimes that means having a dollar cost your entry because of a pullback and things like that. But how we always mitigate our risks with our strategies is what protects your capital. And I'm excited to show you. I'm excited also to learn from you. Like I said, I don't know it all. I just have a fun system. It's a little boring, but it works. And at least it's been working for me for a few years. And anybody I've shown it to has been fairly successful as well. Chris, how we doing, brother?
You're doing great, man. And I would say I've never not seen it be boring except from you. So that's a good thing. I don't know if anybody else has lasers. I don't know if anybody else has horns, but I know that we've got both, and we've got a great community, and we've got some really cool modules online. So I think all the things are there. I don't know what else we need to do outside from like literally sit in a circle and talk to each other in person. But maybe that'll come down the road as well. So I'm making this video. It's almost done, ready to load here. Now, do you want me to run this thing? Because it is a 7.5 minute video.
No, that's not the one. I was talking the short that he did. That was like 30 seconds. That
little quick intro, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a module, huh?
Yeah, that's the module version. Yeah. But no, what we're using this today is to, you know, first off, it's a Saturday. We're all kind of just taking it easy, having some fun, going to answer those questions, show you some stuff. But it'll give you a little bit of a taste of our Monday to Friday. For you in our Discord, Monday to Thursday, it's going to be private. You know, that's one of the perks of being family and friends in our community is you're going to get the information that we're going to tease you a bit today, daily, Monday to Friday. And on the Fridays, we are going to share it with I hate that thing. On Fridays, we are going to share it for everybody because we do want people to learn. We also want people to find success and things like that. And then on those Fridays, we'll kind of do a recap of what we've been talking about in our Discord, be it from trades or trends or projects. And and we're going to try and want to keep it as succinct as possible. These aren't going to be long lives. I got to stop.
It's gonna keep doing it, dude.
These aren't going to be long, winded shows. Like, we're having some fun here today. It's going to be very factual, data to the point, and then we're done. We're out. The Discord will definitely be the places to have more questions, more interaction all throughout the week. The money flow cycle is just to help prepare you and myself for how we should be trading, what we're looking for in the trades, and things like that. So
we were talking about, you had mentioned having that journal to write everything down, and I'm wondering is that something that that people should just write down randomly, or do we have something that people can use?
Oh, this is what I've been doing in the wee hours and the nights. I've tweaked what I use because I'm fairly good due to neurospiciness. That is accessible for anybody, that it is a system where it's already made, it's all trackable. I'm going to give you guys a teaser of what that looks like today as well. I have that ready to go. And then there's a couple of pieces that I'm working with our tech team to pull in live API information on price action on certain things. So you'll see when I show you that sheet where that'll appear. We're hoping to have that done and ready by Monday. But if not, it'll be done by the end of the week for sure. And that, like I said, is to help us with our entry targeting, to figure out when do we want to make some money? When are we getting in this trade?
We're all good on that video too. So
hit it.
I'm gonna roll it. Let's go.
Hit it.
I saw some head bobbing in the background.
That blew up in my ears. That was great.
It's nice to have a little fun, right? And that's what this project's been about. If you've been watching our advertising or just the whole look and feel of it, it is to make finances and trading more approachable and more fun. And it's more fun for us to do it, even if it's selfish reasons for the team.
I mean, you don't want to get the glaze over, right? Because it's just, you stop hearing, you stop processing. So I appreciate it.
Right. So what you will find, if you're not really into technical analysis, or if you don't understand it as much, the more you watch me do this on the daily in our, private chats and on the Fridays, it will start to become second nature. I don't expect most people to learn how to do support, resistance, candle patterns and all this in the very beginning. I will do that for us in our Discord, absolutely. And the more you see it, the better you'll get at it. We do have some modules on it and more coming. But for today, we're just going to lightly hit it, show you a few different things of what I look at, the order of what I look at, and find trades. So we've talked about it enough. Why don't I show them, Chris?
Let's do it. Let's see that screen.
All right. So as always, let me know if you can't see it, but how are we doing here?
That looks great.
Okay.
It's clear.
So I'm going to pull up just some of my tools here. I'm just going to just put it there. Okay. So what we're looking at here, the first thing we ever look at anything before we making trades, in my opinion, is we need to look at the market cap. We need to know what is happening with the money in the actual crypto market. Market cap is all of it. It's every single coin, Bitcoin, ETH, all the alts, all the micros. Now, we're looking at it here on the daily. We always want to take that zoom out perspective and move in. And when we talk about money, or we hear it on the news and we see these like little percentages of the S&P going up or down, that 0.5, we're talking trillions and billions of dollars. So small percentages, just like our method for stacking our capital, makes all the difference. So if we looked at the weekly quickly, we can see our areas of resistance, support, and all just right in there. And we can see that we've been fighting this trend on the 1.6. In our Discord the other day, I said we really wanted to hold, I'm not zooming in, but right around here, right? I always call this quick and dirty. It doesn't have to be exact, but this is roughly where we want to be. And we can see here, it became support, right? Over here, it was resistance. And why this is so important is because if we don't hold this high 1.5s, 1.5 to 1.6, our next support, our next area is right down here. We can see it there. We can see wicks there. We can see it topping here. And that space, to give you just an idea from, I'll do it over here so it doesn't clog our data later, is 18.73%. That's 285, almost 286, because we're doing it rough, $billion. And we know that amount of money can move fast out of this market. You can see it right here. Right? And this week, look how much money came out of the market. So we're starting to see on the weekly, we have, once you've gone through our micro bears and our micro bulls, we can still see on the weekly, we have this spread, which is a good sign. It's a healthy sign. Having retracements in that is a pretty good thing. What we're not seeing right now is we're not seeing that curl, like right here, you know, right in here. We're not seeing that. So that's indicating to us that we are on the weekly in an upwards motion. But like I said, that doesn't mean we're not going to have retracements. A lot happens in a week, as we know. So there's a lot of movement in these areas in that 1 week. So when we start to zoom in on the dailies and on the lower time frames, we can really start to see what's kind of going on with the bigger picture. And just today alone, we've already had quite a dip. We've also had a pullback. And what I mean by that is we started up here and we came all the way down to here. So 46.2 roughly billion left the market today. That's a lot of money. No wonder alts and our micros have just tanked, right? And then when we look at it, we've had that pull up right to here. So that's 25.5 and 43, right? So a lot of money has already come back into the market. And when we're looking at going in and trading on different time frames, we want to know what the money is doing on those time frames. So when we're reporting to you Monday to Friday, we're going to be looking at the daily and the 4 hour. Once we get a little lower on that, that'll be more stuff for when we're in the Discord. You may have already seen me post in the general, hey, watch the total market cap right now. Looks like we could have a pullback the next little bit. Dominance is rising for Bitcoin. So if you're in alts, especially if you're in the profit area, take them, get out and wait. And if you followed that call, you preserved a lot of your capital. So when we look at just what happened the other day, right? We got up from here all the way down to here. That was $198 billion. That's huge.
That's insane.
Right? And where does it go? That's what we want to know. And then you can start looking at other markets and seeing their rise. The money is just moving from the S&P to gold to, you know, all these other things. When one market's down, others are usually up, right? These people are taking their money and their bets and just moving it around constantly. And they're taking those small percentages because they're moving massive money. And those little percentages on massive money is huge money. And that's why I say we want to swim along with the fishes. We follow the money, we can chum off what they eat. So when we get down onto the 4 hours, we get to see a different picture, especially when you already know how to use our indicators. Our indicator on the 4 hour here fired right here. That dot is our critical greed. That is telling you a massive shift in the downward is coming. If we went from the height of that candle to the bottom of this wick, in 1 day and 4 hours, $211 billion left. It was all over the news the next morning that it was crashing. If you were in our Discord and using NFA OFC's tools, you knew 28 hours ahead of time. Ryan was on a show the other day, one of our moderators, where also very experienced trader, very good at what he does. And he made a point that you don't believe it sometimes. You're on that rush, that FOMO, that, oh my God, nah, it's still going to go. Sometimes you have to believe the mathematics, especially if you're in profit. And that's the difference between riding it up to the top and riding it down to the bottom. And if you're wrong, just wait for the next retracement, consolidation, buy it again and ride it out again. There's always another trade. So when we're looking at the total market cap on the 4 hour right now, we can see we have been consolidating. And like I said, just quick and dirty, we've been consolidating in these areas. And I'm just going to put some rays on here, or lines rather, so we can see our price values here. So like we've been floating between that 158 to 164, 165. So it makes sense that we're probably going to bounce around in here before coming out to retest it, to then take it off back up to these levels here. So when we use our micro bear indicator, we're looking right now like we're probably going to start to see some money entering the market again. We've already had that little bit of a pullback from down here earlier today. Right? Or sorry, up, and then now we're having a normal, healthy retracement. Nothing goes straight up, nothing goes straight down. Retracements are healthy. So now that we know a little bit more of this information and we can see the money's kind of leaving but going up over the last little bit, how do we use that to become better traders? The next step we want to look at is the dominance. The dominance is just strictly how much of the money in the total market cap is just in Bitcoin. Now, you can do this with Ethereum. You can do this with a few other major tokens. I focus on Bitcoin because Bitcoin's the thermostat, the barometer of all things crypto. So when we see dominance going up, like it's been, more money is entering Bitcoin. And when the total amount of money is leaving the market cap, when dominance is going up, alts are bleeding, because that money's coming out of alts, going into Bitcoin, and then leaving Bitcoin out of the market. So anytime we see total market cap go up and dominance come down, we know we're going to get a good run on our alts. And that's where we want our capital to be for a bit. Now, that capital may only be there for a few hours, because this is high risk trading in alts. Just as fast as these things can go up in those 10s to 12s to 18%, they can come down that much. And if you're not watching and prepared for being on the shorter terms, you could get eaten in percentages. And that's what we try to prevent. And how we do that is always watching the money flow. And that's why I say we start here every time. Before every single trade I'm going in, I'm checking these. And I'm on the same hour as my trade. So if I'm trading on the 30 minutes or the 1 hour time frame, I'm looking at all of this on the 1 hour time frame as well. Now, like I said before, I start at the bird's eye view. Where is everything heading? Because when you get into those lower time frames, it might look like it's going a completely different direction during that time. So having the overall picture of where things are going to go and then zooming in and seeing how the money's reacting with it does make you that much better at your entries and your exits. And we can see here in Bitcoin today, following our strategy with this dominance, that we knew this dominance was coming. You know, our Bollinger Band told us that here. We have, you know, I'm sure if I just drop a line there and we scroll, you know, resistance on the dominance. Look at that, you know, support, all in dominance. All of these tools, strategies, and skills, it's not just about the trading pairs that these work on. These work on market caps. These work on dominance. This works in stock. You know, this works in precious metals. Now, sometimes you may get an indicator saying it can't fire. Well, it doesn't mean the indicator's broken. It means it can't do 70% chance or better to give you those readings. Now, the other thing is, just because it can't give you that 70% chance or better, it doesn't mean there's not trades that are profitable there. So in the models, you'll hear me say one tool is not enough. You need a bunch of them. And that's where they all kind of play and come in hand together. So we know that the total market cap has dropped to about 1.65 trillion, which at its current market value is about a drop of 1.42%. And we're seeing the dominance rise. So when we actually look at the price of Bitcoin, it's not surprising that the value has come down. Even though the money is going right back into Bitcoin with the dominance, it's going in there because it's leaving the market. If it stayed in the market and everything just flooded Bitcoin, Bitcoin would start to go up because the money is not leaving and people are going to have the FOMO. The sheep are going to jump in going, everybody's buying, let's buy. And then that right there is when they'll either run it into alt or take it out of the market on you. They'll rug you. And that's what we try to catch. So now looking on the daily on Bitcoin, you know, you can see we fired here early. This dot and these color changes and this color for this end is our critical greed. So this happens faster in your RSIs and your stochastic RSIs because there is no delay on this because of the mathematical statistical probability. What I love about, and smokes MCAD if you're MCAD fans. So what it's doing with our other indicators too, when you learn about them, we can see this curl here that we talked about. So we know price action is heading down. We can see on the Bollinger a green out and a red in. Same thing because of that price action is going down. So we have a curl, we have a break of a band, and we have critical greed. 3 indicators firing at once on Bitcoin. I'm going to take that information and go, if I'm in Bitcoin right now, I probably want to get out. I'll hold on to my capital. And if you did, you would have probably saved yourself a decent amount of money. You know, 8.76%. And then our movement indicator is saying fires right here and says we're going long. And when this happens, you'll see, our movement indicator is really good for Forex. What it's going to do is it's going to tell you whatever percentage odds that you put in, because you can adjust the odds as you like, to where it's going to make it to the take profit line. Now, sometimes it's a very small percentage because this does fire at the end of the candle close. And you have to question, hey, if this fired and I got in, say, best case scenario trade, and you got in there, you made a quick 2%. Right? But if you understand how our other tools use and work, we know we have room to run. We haven't seen this curl here yet. So we know price action is still most likely going to go up. We have an indicator saying 70% chance or better that it's going up in this direction. And the reason it doesn't fire higher, because that 70% is now not there. But we can use our other indicators to go, it's still got legs to run. And so if we did that, and let's say we didn't even get a great trade, we got into here and say we got out there because we panicked, it's still 2.77% over that daily trading. The power really comes in when you start to see how these fire on the smaller time frames. You know, we have, and I don't even have all the indicators on right now, but we have 3 telling you this is coming massively. And that's what we were talking about the other day in the Discord, was how that affects. So what we're going to be doing Monday to Friday is we're going to run through a lot faster than we just did now, because this is also kind of a little tutorial on how these 3 things right here affect your trading in the market for that day, that hour, that week. And when you learn these skills and have these tools, it gives you more confidence as a trader, and you start to see, okay, there's some nuances to all of these as well. And just like any tool, the more you use it, the better you get at it. So the not sexy part that I was talking about before is the paperwork, the notes. The first one in the spreadsheet that you'll all have access to is the 5% trade strategy. If you can make 5% a day, 4 days a week, over 3 months, that's 48 trades, a failure rate of 25%, 60 trades. If you can do that, 5%, 60 trades, failing 25% of the time, that's a 10x. That's huge. And that's why we say don't focus on the money, focus on the percentages. So if you just started with $1,000, your first day is only $1,050. Say that took 8 to 10 hours. That's a lot of freaking work if you look at the dollars, right? And I can see how people get discouraged right off the bat. I've been doing this for, a week, and I've only made a little bit of money. Well, you gotta hang in, because those little percentages keep stacking. Now, this is trading casually part-time. I can do 60 trades in a weekend, when you get good. And that's why I always say, when you first start, don't go for these home runs. Don't go for all these micros. Master these strategies and these tool skill sets and go for that 1 to 2%. As soon as you get it, just take the profit. Then master that 3 to 5%. And you'll see how fast, when you do that, it all stacks. And you want to be in your USDT at the end of the day. Because if you have to hit your stop loss or things like that, or anything that could go sideways, you haven't made that money then. To make the percentage, you have to take the profit. And one of those things of this game that so many people suck at is just simply taking profit. We're in this game to make it. So take it, right? So our next tool here is the journal. So we can see, if we scroll down, I've given you 65 trades that you can keep track of. And in this example, let's just say we bought Bitcoin. We spent $41,000 on it. We got 1 token. So our average entry was 45. We want our take profit to be 45.8. Our stop loss, 37,420. These are all just hypothetical and jokes, 420, let's be honest. We didn't do the risk reward because it's an example, and we'll show you how that works later. But in this case, we hit it. We hit our 45.8. It was a profit of 4,800 at 11%. This is going to total all these automatically for you when you have this, and the functions and the formula cells will be locked, so you can't screw it up if you don't know Excel very well. And this is where the notes comes in. These are all drop down, right? So you can pick, take profit, stop loss. Something happened in the market, like a black swan event. I like to kind of know those when those happen. And then here you can put your win or loss. So it might not seem a lot of sense to keep notes. This will completely change how much money you make. We called it. No perfect trade exists. Even when you win, there's no such thing as a perfect trade. You probably could have did something better. And you could go, hey, we called it, but didn't notice Micro Bull had legs to run, right? So maybe we lost another few percent because we just got excited, took the money. Or maybe you're practicing just grabbing those small percentages for a while. And then now when you go back and you see a lot of that, it had legs to run, had legs to run, had legs to run.
I just have, I'm sorry, because this is fascinating to me. What concerns me about this particular charting system is, what if I don't know what the heck happened? Like, you know what I mean?
You will know when we get you through it. You will know if you got stop lossed out because you won't be holding the token anymore.
Yeah.
And then
if I put it in the Discord and I say what happened here, people will be like, well,
absolutely. This
yeah, I suppose so.
Right. This here is just literally for your own notes, and everybody's notes are going to be a little different.
For sure.
Right. So maybe you lost because you were getting greedy. Your take profit was set too high and you were playing something volatile. The next thing turned around, it just went so fast. Right. It flew through a stop loss, or you didn't have one in and you caught it and you got out. Right.
Well, you always say that certain people, like sometimes when they start, you lose a little here and there, you go up and down, that people start going down. And then, what happens is they start changing the strategy, right? Because they're like, I got to do something different, when really you want to stay on it, right? Because if you start changing stuff, I know when I've started changing stuff, I've continued to go in the other direction.
This is the beauty of this system. It works. It's going to fail a fraction of the time. I have a failure rate of, those 2 to 3 out of 10. Now, I'm also mitigating my losses on that, the drawdown of how much that affects my capital. We get into all these more later. But when we're looking at how are we looking at our losses, what's happening with our losses, this is where the notes come in. Because if we keep seeing take profit set too high, take profit set too high, and then all in here, take profit set too high, we have an issue to fix. But here's the thing. If you don't take any of these notes, you're not going to remember what happened up there when you're down here. Your brain's going to lie to you. It's going to misconstrue the events of the past. It's always going to either make it worse or better, depending on, your headspace. And by having these notes and keeping these logs, it keeps your trading honest. And you can look back and go, okay, this is where I'm suffering in my losses. These are the reasons. And when I'm winning, this is how I could have been better. That is all this sheet is for. Now,
what's going to happen is I'm going to start putting it, and I'll just see this thing of like tequila, would be,
yeah.
If I see enough tequilas, I'll be like, well, which I think one of the things you said to me first, when the things you said to me was, don't drink and trade. I think just don't do that. So I have to tell you, because I'm a little bit of a toddler this way. I like the colors are keeping me, things like that, because once you really start just laying this all out, and it does just look, it's empty right now, but it does look like numbers. I fade out, and numbers make a lot of sense to me.
Yep.
So I appreciate what it looks like and dumbing it down for somebody like me.
It's just one of those things that, in the beginning, a lot of the information, a lot of the language, how all the indicators work can be a little intimidating, for sure. But that's why we always say, just break it down step by step, take the breaths, remove the emotion. When you're new, you don't want to be in 10 different trades, right? You just want to focus on a few, right? Like, sure, I'll jump into 30, 40 trades sometimes at a time. I don't recommend that for anybody. unless you can have a system set up where you're watching every single one of them at once, or that your stop losses and your take profit zones so well that you can just set them and forget them. Like I said, it always comes down to your strategy. In the beginning, keep it simple. You're in a couple of trades, you're out of a couple of trades, you keep your track record of it, and you just keep building upon that. And it's like riding a bike or any other skill set. The more you do it, the better you get at it, then the more challenges you can add to it, right? And that's why I think the Discord is so good, because when you are at that stage and you want to learn more, you have instant access to all of us, and you can ask these questions. On that note, this next sheet will intimidate a lot of people. And this is when we look at our targeting. And this is the sheet that I said is almost done, and I'll have it ready for you. It's going to API pull all the current prices, the 24-hour change, and the 1 week change. But just say, and this has a bunch of coins on it, but say we're looking at Bitcoin, just for example, and we wanted to get in. And like we were talking before, just because you have capital doesn't mean it's the time to get in. So maybe we're looking at the 1 hour time frame, and it makes sense that, hey, maybe at 3 o'clock we could be around that 40K, right? And then we would enter our market exit if we wanted to, roughly when we thought that would happen. Where would we be setting our stop loss, our take profit, the risk reward setting of such? And then what I really like, the all-time high and the percentage price of where it is now to it. And then you would set your own alarms or your own little notifications, however you want to do it, for these times where you think those entries are. Because if you're looking to trade and we know we only go in when we can find a trade, well, it doesn't mean that day you decide to trade, there might be an entry that moment. So we have to go through all of our coins and our lists or our trading pairs and other markets and start going, where's an entry? Where in any of all of this can we find a good spot to get in? And once we start finding some that are like, hey, that's kind of close. This is the spreadsheet that we use to track that, because you might forget about it when you start digging into more. And then you'd be like,
I like that you have a lot of tokens, a lot of coins on there, because I get pretty stuck on just the certain ones that I know. And I try to find my way into these charts when really not the time, because I'm too chicken to go to other coins, quite frankly, because I haven't learned the heartbeat of other coins yet. And, but then it puts me in a situation where I'm trading stuff that really it's not the time, especially for somebody like me, who's,
right.
A little bit amateur.
Well, and that's why, like I said, all these little tools on top of the indicators sharpen those skills. And and it's the patience, as we've seen trade. If you're rushing anything when you're making a trade, get in or get out or anything, that's going to cause that emotion. And there's no reason. If you're rushing, it means you're probably on a too low of a time frame. And if you're rushing anything, you're going to make mistakes.
Assuming nothing but detrimentally.
Yeah. You're rushing, Chris?
Yeah, I'm pretty Russian. Yep.
And you got to be careful.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
And that is kind of a little gist of the overview of what we're going to do, a little light taste on what we're looking for in the indicators. Obviously, in our module system through the website, we have each one of those indicators broken down individually, step by step, and how to use them. So if you're in the Discord and you actually haven't signed up or seen them yet, this is the kind of stuff you're missing. These are powerful, powerful tools. And the only reason, like I said before, that I get to do this with all of you is because I was a sole investor in an IP company, and I made that a condition to be able to pay it forward to my friends and family. And I wanted my free time back, so I didn't have to do this in my living room all the time. But that's for a selfish reason. But this is going to be a journey. It's going to be fun, and there's going to be people that get it, and people that trading's not for everybody. This might be wah, 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 to some people, and that's fair. But as you said, Chris, like, we want a community that's engaged, that's using these tools, and engaged with one another. And that's what this whole project's about. And no harm, no foul, it's a limited, curated, exclusive group. And just because you're in the group doesn't mean you get to stay. Like if you're doing nothing, you're taking someone else's seat. We're there to help. So,
and also we don't want people being wieners in there. Can you say wieners?
Oh yeah,
wieners. I'm just going to say wieners.
Like
I don't want to have to like ask questions and somebody make me feel like an idiot, like I don't, because I don't know, or maybe my 3 of 10, losses in there is it keeps getting more and more and more, and I just don't feel comfortable to come in and try to save myself and help myself. So just support, please.
Yeah. I'm going to hit a couple of questions here. Desi, how do you manage the time on your positions, swings, and day trades mostly? That does come right back down to a little bit what we're talking before of the trading styles. I do a lot of swing trading. Yes, that to me is how you stack capital fast, is day trading, swing trading. But I will always take a percentage of my profits and dollar cost average on lows. I don't do it just because I got money on the Friday, because it's payday. I'll wait for good entries on some of my favorite tokens, and I'll just keep stacking those. But when I am doing the swinging out in the day, I try to get out in and out as fast as I can. I don't want to be on the minutes or the seconds. I know people that do that. That's just way too emotional for me. My limits, play within it, as bad as that cliche saying always goes. So I kind of, I always say, do what makes you comfortable. You're risking what makes you comfortable, all those kind of things. So it is a different answer for everybody. But I tend to, in hot markets, I'll get down on the 5s and the 15s typically. Which I don't recommend for novices, especially if you're not looking at the big picture, because you might think it's going and it's on its way down.
And even for you, it's you're not sitting there relaxed while you're doing it either.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? You're not going, no, I can do this.
Yeah. As much as I always say, don't focus on the money. Personally how much you have invested in a trade. So it's how you manage it. It's how you control that. Desi, I hope that answers your question. Another question is, what level of trading view do we need for the indicators? Great question. This is pinned in our general chat of the Discord. It is the second one, level 2. I think it's about
yay.
I think it's about $25 US a month. What it does is it enables you to be able to import custom algorithms. It also lets you watch a few more tokens, which is nice, and a few things like that. And you can run extra indicators on top of them if you really want to. I find once you start running a ton of indicators, it just becomes too much. And with this strategy, I've tried hundreds. Like this isn't, I just got lucky and I found a company and a few indicators that work together. This was years of me staying up late, experimenting indicators on their own, experimenting, putting 4 or 5 different ones together. And this kind of where it ended up. And when you see the simplicity of the system and how taking these smaller percentages really works, it's crazy, to how fast that really does build capital. And that's why I get excited about it. That's why I get excited to share it and show it. And as to what Katie was saying a minute ago, it's so beautifully simple. The hardest part is everybody wants to change it. And as soon as you deviate from the system, it doesn't work. I've tried.
It seems that the hardest part is managing yourself within it, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, I think, were we talking about the top picks today? Were we going to talk about that today?
No, it was more of a share indicators, things like that. I did drop a couple of tokens that I've been watching and dollar cost entering in. Of course, I got into that right before that nice big wick when China woke up and did a liquidity grab, which now prime example. Some people may have panicked when they were in my position. You know, I put money in, which was a great position, looking at support and resistance of the past, where everything happened to be going at the time. And within moments, that happened. And $100 billion left the market.
Oof.
You know, now I was in some good alts, absolutely. So they didn't take nearly as a hit as some of these more micro ones, but they did go down a few percent. But what did that do is it gave me my favorite coins on a bigger sale, right? So I dollar costed my entry in, and now I'm there. And I know these tokens both so well that I'm not worried in any way, shape, or form with them. Answer your question, one of my favorite tokens, and the one I was talking about, is Gala. Right now, it's roughly around 3,000% below its all-time high in the last run. If you look at the team who is involved in Gala and do a little research, this to me is a no-brainer investment. I've made a ton of money in the past in and out on them. It's a great swing coin on a little bit longer time frames and very short time frames. It's a hell of a project. So to answer your question, there's one of my favorite gems. If you don't know it, go check it out. GALA, Gala Games. It's going to be a massive part of our industry, will be the gaming industry. And I think that's enough of me talking, unless there's more questions.
I just look forward to knowing what you're talking about. That's gonna be great. That's gonna be amazing, because I sit here all the time, and I'm actually going to be active. And I think having some skin in the game and actually like having your own thing that you're doing, that you're watching, your own risks that make sense to you, or just going after it. I think being involved is the best way to learn. So I really can't wait.
Definitely keeps your ears and eyes open when you've got some skin in the game, for sure. As opposed to just, not knowing exactly what's going on, what the vocabulary is and everything.
Yep.
Benji, yes, that was Gala, the 3,000 rough odd percent. Don't quote me on exact numbers. I hadn't actually looked today. Last night, I think it was about 2,988% from its all-time high. Hell of a coin. I love it. Quan, thank you so much. Glad to hear you're excited. Can't wait to get you up on stage one day and we can tell people how we met. And yeah, the money flow cycle is highly underrated. And thank you. We are trying to be the real deal and have some fun at the same time with it, and just go from there. Again, everybody that is in our Discord, please, if you want, be active, ask questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. We even have a channel just for questions, or you can ask it in general, doesn't matter. Or as Chris always said, you can ask it right in our modules. Those questions go right to our inbox, so we know that they're coming. More comments. People are just getting into it. Yeah, it's exciting, and I'm glad people are excited. That's why we're doing it right there.
Yeah, man.
Love it. Thank you, everybody. Look forward to seeing you in the Discord. This starts Monday, 7 p.m. PST. We're going to go over the market flow, the money flow, and everything. It won't be as long-winded as this, obviously, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you guys a little more in the Discord. And have a great weekend. Happy Saturday.
Thank you, guys. See you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.